Hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever. But I just wanted to make a really quick video on called perspective. Perspective to your perspective is means like the way that you look at it, your point of view, I guess, in a way. And the important thing that in life, perspective is everything. And if you don't really know how you can have a different perspective, like think about it as, there's times in your life that you've reacted to things differently when you were younger than how you are now as you're a little bit older. Whether it's you cried when you dropped an ice cream cone, and the way that you look at it now is completely different. You dropped an ice cream cone, you're like, oh, that sucks. Or, like I get another one, or you still have the same perspective, but it's a different in different things. See, the cool thing about perspective is that you can actually choose to have a different point of view. And if you choose to say, hey, it doesn't happen overnight, but it takes time. So if you say, you know what, no matter what happens to me, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be happy regardless of whatever. And you go, how is that possible? Like somebody will say something, it's like, you can't look at it that way. And you're like, what do you mean I can't look at it that way? That's how it is. Well, the reason why that's the way it is because that's your perspective. That's the way that you see it. That's why they say stuff like you need to walk a mile in his shoes to understand. Because you will have a different perspective when you walk a mile in that person's shoes. So, like, it takes a lot of practice to have a perspective, an outlook on life that I'm still struggling with it. I try to stay positive. I try to stay happy. But then I look at people that have the kind of perspective that I would like to have and cross my fingers and hope that I could get there someday. Like you see this guy that's homeless or whatever, and he's got no arms and no legs, and you're like, holy shit. And he's sitting there like, I'm happy. I do some wrestling. I like to try to drive cars, and I like to. And you're like, what is this guy? Why is he so positive? This is insanity. And it's because of his perspective. Because he could easily choose to feel incredibly bad for himself, and just sulk and be like, oh, the world has done to me. He could easily and understandably do that and think that way, but he doesn't, because he understands that he chooses the perspective to become happy. And we can all do that, because there's always someone worse off than we are. So and they're more positive than we are in those scenarios, in those situations. And I think that's because it's just all because their point of view. You can literally look at the exact same scenario in a completely different light, and it changes the way that you feel, and it'll change your relationships, and it'll change the way you see the dumbass drivers or whatever it is. Like, just actively choose to have a better perspective, because do your research. Like, try to understand like how to be happy, because there are people that you look at it from your point of view, your perspective, and you go, if I lived like that guy, I would be hopelessly miserable, living in a hut in the middle of the woods with whatever horrible things that you could imagine. But this guy's slapping and having a great old time, and it doesn't make sense. That's because it's possible to see it a different way. So I know that I just repeated the same thing over and over and over, because that's the way it is. You'll see quotes and stuff. And a lot of the times when you learn stuff in life, it doesn't make sense until you live through it. Like, you go, oh, that's what they mean by it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. It starts to make sense after you live through it. But I'm telling you that it is... if you manage to have the blessing of living through something that changes your perspective in a way that you go, wow, I can be happy all the time. I can choose. I have the ability to choose to be happy all the time. It's an incredible feeling. So have a nice day. I just want to make that quick video, and good luck. Peace.